guys. I mean, I think they played well up until, again, December, before they were demotivated by having Magic Johnson tell them that they're worthless. But up until then, they were doing very well. But if they had gotten maybe some of those deals done or brought in another big name, I think that's where I kind of realized this season was lost.
Well, Eric, I'm glad you started the pod out in the teaser explaining where we've been and why we haven't been on the show, because I'll shoot down any rumors that we were in Jupiter, Florida. I'll shoot those down. We have not been to Florida, so we have legitimate reasons why we haven't been on the air. Unlike our next participant here and who's having the worst week, that would be Patriots owner Robert Kraft. Came out last Friday that he was going to be arrested for getting himself involved in a situation there in a spa in Florida, and that he wasn't the biggest name involved. And of course, then you start connecting the dots of who else lives in Jupiter, Florida.
Tiger.
Oh, thank God our boy hasn't been involved in that. That'd be a whole nother story. But Eric, this is a guy that is considered, maybe outside of Jerry Jones, the most powerful owner in the league, coming off of the 6th title for this Patriots team. You're talking about a guy worth $6 billion, and he gets busted at a $79 an hour hole-in-the-wall massage parlor that he's getting taken there in a 2015 Bentley. I mean, afterwards, did he go through the drive-thru at McDonald's before getting on his G5 to go to Kansas City? I don't really know what is going on here. The reactions have been all over the place with this, but coming off of what we've seen take place in Chicago with a TV star where everyone overreacted, and that story has blown all the hell and back, where should the reaction level be with this at this point?
Oh, geez. I mean, how do you react to any story that the media gives us in this country? Everything is overblown. Everything is knee-jerk reaction. Everything is... I said knee-jerk.
Okay.
I said knee-jerk.
Wasn't sure where we were going with that segment.
And I'm really disappointed that you didn't describe it as the $59 rub and tug that he was at before he got into his limo and going to an AFC championship game. But no, everything's a knee-jerk reaction. Obviously, I was just enraged by this TV star from Empire and that whole thing, because you get the media and they react to a certain way and they drive the narrative. Well, here the same thing. I mean, what is the narrative going to be on this Robert Kraft story? And of course, everyone's going to pile on. We're going to want to find out who all's involved. There was actually a web tour pro golfer named, and I didn't even really recognize his name, but I would have to imagine in that area of the country, there could be some pro golfers named. There could be other stars named as well from other sports. I don't think this is going to go away quickly as far as the media reaction, but I don't think it should. I mean, your point is very valid. You're worth $6 billion or whatever. You're the owner of the Patriots. You're going to an AFC championship game and you're getting a little bit of action on the side at a massage parlor before. I mean, that's just ridiculous. You have all that money. If you're going to be like that, if you're going to pay for prostitution or whatever, at least be smart about it. I mean, I'm not endorsing it, but my goodness, how dumb can you be?
Has the man ever heard of an in-call service? You don't have to necessarily go do this and put yourself out there. I don't necessarily know, like there's this huge overreaction by the media, and it's the same overreaction because they all prop this guy up, and he's run an organization with the Patriots that has been, I mean, let's just say their integrity has been questioned a number of times. So does this surprise? No, not really at this point. But then again, you have a media that is, you know, let's face it, they're very liberal. They all swing left. And now you have a Democratic presidential nominee that comes out and says that they should decriminalize sex work at this point. So I don't understand where all the rage and all that stuff is at this point, because just like we saw with the whole thing in Chicago and Jesse Smollett, where he basically created this narrative that, okay, like all white people want to throw bleach and nooses and all that, and he made it up. And now you have Robert Kraft where, oh, there's human trafficking taking places and this and there's that. And then according to the video, the girls are hugging him and he's tipping them and all that. So I don't know where all the reaction is. I don't even know where we react. I think the biggest thing is you're worth $6 billion. You're 78 years old and your team's playing in Kansas City in an AFC championship game. Why the hell are you even there? It just doesn't make any sense. And even listening to the prosecutors in this case of, well, we want to smash demand. Well, you know what? Good luck with that. Because if you look at the 25 that are listed, you had people in their 20s and some old dude that was like 84, 85 years old. So good luck trying to stop the male sex drive in ages 20 to 80 versus trying to stop people that are actually doing the trafficking. So great. You've arrested 25. So you've got about what? You've got about 150 million others that you're going to have to stop. So it just seems to me, Eric, that they got a tip, that they had some big guys in there in terms of money wise, because there was a couple other billionaires in there from more of like the Wall Street side, I think. One guy was like the president of the Boys and Girls Club that was in there, but they're names that we don't recognize in terms of day to day because they're not sports names. They're not household names, but it just seems to me that they knew they had an opportunity to go get some big names, get some big fish in there and try to make a statement. And Kraft was dumb enough to get caught up in it. But the reactions, obviously, they range all over the place. So what do you think that he should do? Obviously, the league's not going to force him to sell the team, anything like that. The close everybody's pulling is the Jim Irsay, where he got 6 games and a $500,000 fine. It seems to be pointing somewhere in that direction. But at his age and all that is going on with his Patriots team in terms of their NFL with Deflategate and Spygate and some of the things that have gone on there, do you feel like it's time for Kraft to step down and turn this team over to his son? Or did it not go that far?
No. As egregious as I think this is from a character standpoint, no. I mean, I don't think you can force him to do any of that stuff. I think he's going to have to do his community service, pay his fine, potentially do jail time, although I don't think he will do jail time. And the crimes, they are what they are. And so he can be punished by the league under the NFL's behavior and conduct policy. And that's fine. But beyond that, you can't force a guy to do anything else that you wouldn't be able to force any regular person to be able to do just because he owns a team. And that's actually one of the reactions in America that I really can't stand is this whole revenge attitude that everyone has. Look, I know he made a huge mistake and, you won't find me down there. You won't find my name on any of those lists. So it's not affecting me one way or the other, but I hate this whole mentality that our country has where, oh, well, someone's done something bad, send them to hell. They're just worthless as a human being and they're done. They can't be of any value to society anymore. This guy did a crime. I mean, potentially paying prostitutes for things, and that's not right. Whatever the law says he has to have done is what he needs to do. But then you can't turn around and say he's got to sell his team or he has to leave the league or whatever. There may be other situations where that's appropriate. I think when you got into the Clippers situation and there was institutionalized racism, maybe from the owner of an organization, you could recommend, hey, you probably shouldn't be in this position right now. I think that's just a very slippery slope to go down because you can then just start throwing out things that you feel are too egregious for someone to be able to overcome. And, well, if he gets 5 speeding tickets, he shouldn't be able to own the Patriots anymore. It's like, really? We're going to start saying things like that? Society and the free market will take care of these things. Again, if Kevin Spacey never gets hired for an acting job again, I understand that. If Smollett never gets hired for an acting job again, I understand that. You can't cry wolf in his case and then just be generally accepted back into the population in a moment's notice. At the same time, I do feel like he can be forgiven. I do feel like grace and mercy could be bestowed upon him for years to come afterwards, and he could be a productive member of society again. It's just about reaction and how far are we going to take it? So that was a long-winded answer, Justin, to basically say, I think he needs to pay his time criminally, whatever the law says. But beyond that, the NFL can punish him under their conduct policy, and then that's it. They cannot force him to sell the team. They cannot tell him to leave the league or anything like that because ultimately he's only done something that any other man or woman in this country can do, and it doesn't mean they're just automatically relegated to hell.
Yeah, I agree. He shouldn't have to sell his team at this point. Let the league slap him on the wrist. If he's at a point where he feels physically like he can't do it every day in terms of running the Patriots and he needs to step down or he needs to hand that over to his son, who's already doing a lot for that team anyways. You always see him together at games and in the box together. So that should be his decision on his timetable. But look, he got caught up and he made a dumb mistake. I mean, there's a lot of stuff behind the scenes of these players going to different cities and clubs and what goes on that is probably much worse than what is this happening. But I think the whole thing is, don't tie the guy to human trafficking. He obviously is not involved in that. I mean, it's pretty clear what he was there for. And it's not like he's going
got a massage and a blowy. That's what it was, right?
That's what it is. It's nothing more than that at this point. Okay, you guys want to stop it, but right now you're on an embarrassment tour because you're not really talking about how to fix the problem. you're just basically, you've thrown Kraft up there and you put these other names out, but only one name that people really care about or gravitating towards. So
sounds a lot like Kaepernick, huh?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we can get to him later, unfortunately. But look, and Kraft's not doing himself any favors either. If there actually is video that they've been saying and he's categorically denying it.
I don't want to see it.
That's your homework.
No.
That's your homework assignment for the show.
No.
That's going to be
I don't want to see it.
You're going to be forced to do it for content.
I don't want any video of Filategate.
Yeah, I don't know how he's going to categorically deny something that's on video. I mean, I joke with you, like, what is he saying? Like, he couldn't bend down to tie his shoe and something accidentally slipped somewhere? I mean, I don't know how he's going to get out from under that. So he's not helping himself either. But I feel like nowadays you just can't overreact to anything. And you can't really underreact either. I'm not really sure what you're supposed to do. I think you're just supposed to try to parse through it. I mean, look, we saw it with some of the cases with the NFL with domestic violence where there was an underreaction. And then all of a sudden, there's a massive overreaction. So it goes both ways here. Look, it's a story that shouldn't even take place when you're worth that much. I mean, he's already supposedly dating a girl that's 40 years younger than him. I mean, geez, you're worth $6 billion. I'm pretty sure you can probably go find another girlfriend that's probably a safer situation than probably a place that I think had like 1 star on Yelp, something like that. Probably not the safest and the healthiest place. Anyways. Well, Eric, before we get into any more trouble on this topic, I think it's probably time to take a break and come back with Talkworthy. We got a lot of stories to cover, including Zion Williamson, a couple NFL trades that may or may not happen, the whole Colin Kaepernick situation, and what's going on with NASCAR and their rules package. Will things look different in 2019 for NASCAR? All right, let's jump into some of the other hot topics going on in sports right now, and probably none bigger than the star of college basketball in Zion Williamson. Eric, the man blew out his Nikes last week, so we're kind of past that point, but the big talk since then has been, should Zion keep playing? And of course, as soon as Zion went down, the Twitterverse blew up with all these comments about this is why players should be paid that play college athletes. They're putting themselves out there at all this risk, and now he's risking his potential number 1 draft stock in a huge shoe deal. Then the NBA players jump in on that of it's ridiculous that college athletes even have to go to college. They should be able to come straight to the pros. So you've got all this noise around this topic, Eric, but seems like Zion wants to play. Coach K has come out and said that there's been no talk of shutting Zion down. So is this just much to do about nothing? Is this just filling airways at this point, or do these guys have a point?
Well, I think there is a point to be made there, sure. It's not much to do about nothing because had that happened, it was a freak accident. I mean, Nike is a very quality shoe. It's not like you see this often. So it's a freak accident, right? It's like any of these other leg breaks or bad things that happen to a knee or an ankle. It's just a freak accident. His shoe blew out. He went down and had a knee sprain. So he strained some of the ligaments in his knee. Thankfully, didn't tear any of them. There's no major damage, they're saying. And so I think he's going to escape this. However, maybe he didn't escape it in another scenario. And I think that's a big topic for discussion because everyone all year has talked Zion. The Knicks are positioning, and we think, for Zion. Other teams in the NBA are hoping that the lottery goes their way and they can get Zion. He's the guy that everyone's talking about. Imagine had that shoe ripped out and he destroyed that knee. Maybe not just ACL or MCL or something, but maybe something freak like he tore the patellar tendon or something that's going to be very difficult for a basketball player to come back from, at least in the next 2 to 3 years. Think Greg Oden type of stuff. Look, Duke is getting an advantage of this guy. Yes, he's on a scholarship. I get all that. We've had this conversation. It's going to continue to happen. And that's why there's the reaction to it, is because he's playing on a scholarship, but he's not getting paid. And he might have, thankfully didn't, but might have just ruined a huge payday in the National Basketball Association while playing for a temporary situation only because he has to. because he can't go to the NBA right out of high school. And there are transcendental athletes like Kevin Garnett and Kobe Bryant and LeBron James and a few others who have been able to do that when it was allowable. And some of these guys could do it. So you're putting him in the NCAA, playing for a college where something freak could happen, where it could change the whole trajectory of his life. That is the issue, and that's why people are reacting so strongly to it.
Well, I think the